Check one, check two, check one, check two. I hope that we are coming through. It's a windy but mildly warm afternoon in the relatively sunny, temperate, maritime northeast of this sceptred isle. Hope you're doing well out there. Hope you are navigating the tricky waters of the present moment in time. I've been reading, I've been thinking, I've been listening. Most recently I've been thinking about the kinds of people that will tell you that you don't know. Crazy thing, huh? Just dive straight in. The kinds of people that tell you you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to be man, woman, old, young, black, white, green, red, Hispanic, Southeast Asian, a gypsy, a Scot, a rebel, working for a big company, not working for anybody. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like. As if that statement is going to change everything. As if that statement is going to make people listen. As if suddenly you don't know what it's like, but I'm going to tell you something and then that thing is going to become your experience. Then you're going to know what it's like. Well, that's insanity. And by the way, have you stopped to ask me about my experiences? Yeah, you don't know what it's like to come from some famous black neighborhood in some rundown area of some city. Really? Really? You think that by reading, by listening, by learning, that I don't know what it's like? Have you stopped to ask me about my experiences? Have you stopped to ask me about what I can relate to? Have you stopped to ask me about why I'm here, how I got here, my journey, my experience, my formation and transformation? It bugs me when people say, you don't know what it's like. Really? I think that you don't know me enough to judge whether or not if I don't know what it's like. Because life is a series of experience, ever more complex, ever more challenging as we approach the end point, not knowing where, not knowing when, not knowing how. Maybe it's getting closer, maybe it's getting further away. Hard to say. Truth is, there's nothing to be gained from shrinking back into the darkness when the light is what should be guiding you. The light is what should be ahead of you. You need not only to embrace the light, but to reflect it as well, to understand how the information enters the pupil and the information changes the situation. Your own ability to access information is part of the key to your own progress. You have to know yourself. You have to be able to feel the difference within yourself, because you can't learn if you are unable to feel a difference. You can't learn if you are unable to realize the things that you can't see, or maybe that you don't yet see. Understand influence. Understand how we influence and are influenced. Understand that you need to be interested before you can be interesting. Diving in. Check it out. Here's an interesting thought. Dun, dun, dun. Despite the fact that all the notifications are turned off, it appears to be unavoidable. Thank you very much, Facebook. Thank you very much. Thank you for introducing all of this ridiculousness of information. Thank you very much, Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you. Remember what Zuckerberg called his followers and users? Remember that? Do you remember the misinformation Zuckerberg gave to Congress? Have a look into Mr. Zuckerberg's background. I'm not saying people shouldn't deserve success, but if you look at where he studied, who he studied with, it's interesting. And now Zuckerberg is a protege of the man who stands at the gates to society. Stephen Donovan writes, in the scientific dictatorship, you don't go to the doctor to say you're sick. The doctor comes to you and tells you that you're sick. You see how everything's been inverted once again. Once again. Let's telephone a friend. Leroy's got this new sound. It's dope, man. Right. Language, the gauge of society. In the scientific dictatorship, you don't go to the doctor to say you are sick. The doctor comes to you and tells you you're sick. It's the psychological flip. It's the psychiatric attack. The attack on logic, the attack on understanding, the attack on health, the attack on understanding that health is wealth. Here's some facts for you, Ryan. Here's some facts. 1 in every 2, that's 49.5% of 13 to 18-year-olds in the US have been diagnosed with at least one mental health disorder. Half of 13 to 18-year-olds in the United States have been diagnosed with one mental health disorder. Half. 1 in every 6 American children, 17%, has a developmental disability, according to the CDC. 1 in every 6. 1 in every 8 American children, 14%, requires special educational services. That's a huge statistic. 1 in every 12 American children has asthma, breathing difficulties. And the drugs they pump them full of, steroids, performance enhancing. 1 in every 13 American children has at least one food allergy, and 2/5 of those with food allergies have a history of severe reactions, including deadly peanut allergies. Why do so many people have peanut allergies? Could it be due to the fact that the vaccines are cultured with peanuts? Well, not exactly peanuts themselves. They're not peanuts in the vaccines, but how they are grown, how they are cultivated is together with the cells of peanuts. And so the body thinks that the peanut is the virus, and that's why you get sick. That's why you have severe reactions, because your body is saying, I don't want this inside. 1 in 285 US children will be diagnosed with cancer before their 20th birthday. Each year, an estimated 15,780 US children and adolescents aged 0 to 9 will be diagnosed with cancer. Just the facts. You know, I should read that again, but and it's just horrific. It's just absolutely horrific. Basically, if you just took like one classroom full of 2 children, if you got like one normal person in that class, that would be a miracle. And this is the model, right? This is the model for how things are going to be. This is the model for what's happening. This is the model. And the information gets swept under the carpet, and people don't want to discuss it because it's scary. It's scary. Simon Jordan writes, the latest NHS figures for COVID-19 UK hashtag are very revealing. They reveal how countries seem to finally be coming clean about how deaths were attributed. The figures are being rewritten as I speak to you. Essentially, only 1,334 people have died from COVID in the UK. But that's enough to lock down every single business and control how many people can enter the business. Only 294 people were under the age of 60. Only 294 people were under the age of 60, according to England NHS UK statistics. Boom. Boom. Scottish Government has passed a regulation mandating, no, this is not a law, it's not a law that people, I haven't read it, so I don't know if it's should or have to. So I don't have it here, so I'm not going to misread it. But I do know that it hasn't been debated in Parliament, and as such is not a law, as far as I'm concerned, from my knowledge. Now, although some people think that it's been mandated, no, it's not a law for everybody. It is not true, because from a health perspective, not everybody can actually wear a mask. You can't force somebody to do something which is detrimental to their health. That's a crime. It's all a crime, actually. It's all a crime. Everything. It's just one big crime. It's just that it's too big for your brain to comprehend. People are exempt. People are exempt from masks if they have a disability or health condition that means they cannot put on a mask. So, if you've got anxiety, for example, that would be a reasonable reason not to put on a mask. If you suffer from any illness related to hypoxia, shouldn't put on a mask. If you what's the other one? Darn it, is it hyperapnea? I'm forgetting the name of it. There's another one which is the common cause of not getting enough oxygen into the body. And by the way, putting on a mask reduces your oxygen intake within 5 seconds to dangerous levels. Fact. And the hundreds of videos of people measuring this getting put on the internet get deleted almost instantly. Every time I find one, I send it to somebody and then they go, oh, I followed your link and there was nothing there. Right. Why would anybody want to stop people sharing the fact that you hurt yourself if you do this? Why would people want to stop that? Isn't that a crime? Isn't it a crime not to tell people that they're hurting themselves? Or is that just weird colors of things? Uh, Masks can cause severe distress to a lot of people. There's people who need to lip read as well. You can obviously can't lip read through a mask. Oh, well, I've got these clear ones for yeah, that's just as silly. Have you ever seen a laboratory? Have you ever seen what a viral lab looks like? Have you seen what people wear there? Have you seen the protections taken there? That's how you protect yourself from a virus. And the human body is full of hundreds of viruses that can be transmitted between people. You can't stop all of them. You probably don't want to, because then if you don't build up immunity, then the next time something comes around, you know, you get double tapped, right? It's the way it works. Um, so there we go. There we go. Disability equality can actually work for people. But remember, it's all by design. Seriously, it's all by design. Did you know, according to childrenscreamingtobeheard.com, the UK government has admitted it accidentally sold at least 10,000 children to known child traffickers in the last year alone. Let me read that again. According to childrenscreamingtobeheard.com, the UK government has admitted it accidentally sold at least 10,000 children to known child traffickers in the last year alone. And I know that this article actually has references as well within the article. And it might be worth diving in a bit deeper. It might be worth reading and realizing that the people in power and control know exactly what it is that they're doing. It's not by accident. All of these organizations work together, the social care, the health care, the schools, the governments, the courts. They're all an integrated network. Not to mention that 30,000 people in Germany have been charged with child trafficking. 30,000 in Germany. And it barely made the news here. It barely made the news at all. It's a hell of a lot of people. It's a hell of a lot of people. It'd be a hell of a lot of people if it was 10, right? It'd be a hell of a lot of people if it was 10. According to the article, tens of thousands of children mysteriously disappear from government care every year. They are groomed by sex traffickers, according to recently released government data. And this also ties into the pornographic hubs that are on the internet as well, because a lot of people end up in that network somewhere. Scary place, really scary. And these places are allowed to stay up online. Oh, we can't have a video of a positive male giving a speech about culture and society, so we have to ban Jordan Peterson from the internet, basically, and the others who have put out great, thoughtful content. Stefan Molyneux, Gavin McInnes, Alex Jones, to mention but a few of the great thought provokers in society. They will be branded and labeled. That's okay. And then other people are branded and labeled by association, but eventually the lie falls down. Dailymail.co.uk reports that all of these children are going missing, and it comes amid concerns that young people are falling through the hands and into the hands of gangs grooming children following recent scandals in Rotherham and Telford in England. Some of the children go reportedly missing for more than a month. Why are they going for a month? Do you think they come back the same after they go missing? My God. There were 1,720 cases of children disappearing for more than a week among 60,720 total reported disappearances last year. 60,720 total disappearances in Britain. Oh, that's a huge number. I mean, how many is that per day? That's crazy. That's crazy. I wonder if I can ask Google. Okay, Google, what is 60,000 divided by 360?
The answer is approximately 166.666667.
Are you serious? It's 0.666. My God. Well, there we go. That's slightly unexpected. Okay, 100 and thank you very much, Coco. 166. I'm kind of a bit speechless after that. 166. That's wild. That is incredibly wild. A day. 166 kids a day. You better know where your kids are. You better know where your kids are. If 166 kids are disappearing every day, then there must be a hell of a lot of people making sure that these kids A, disappear, and B, that they can't be found. Frightening. Absolutely frightening. What about the parents? How are the parents allowing this? I mean, don't kids go home, school, and then back home again? Or home school to a club and then back home again? They're with their friends all the time anyway. How does... It's scary. It's really, really scary. This comes amid reports that thousands of children and teenagers are rescued from slavery around Britain every year, but few of their captors ever face justice. Just 6% of crimes reported to police lead to prosecutions. Just 6%. Wild, wild. Anyway, you can read more of the resourced information at childrenscreamingtobeheard.com. Dive down the rabbit hole at your own peril. The information is out there. I mean, where's all that stuff on the news, right? Fear the dangerous virus, but don't fear that your kids are going to get kidnapped. Every day. Every bloody day. Every day. So it's like, today's a new day, so it's going to be another 166 plus. I don't know. I don't know how we let it get this far. Which is not strictly true. I know how we let it get this far. We got complacent. We got comfortable. We had it too easy for too long. It's easier to believe the lie. It's easier to just get distracted. Just get influenced. To forget how one decision in one moment gives us the power to change everything. To forget that we can learn. We can learn almost anything if we put in the hours. From 10 to 10,000, if we put in the hours, we can learn it. Ask yourself, what will be your next learning? What will be your next skill? Push yourself, challenge yourself. Learning is often a lot less complicated than people will tell you that it is. And real learning, not just rote memorization. Real learning comes from love, comes from experience, comes from knowing that you're on the right path, comes from having the right guides, the right mentors around about you. Comes from a lot of things. Comes from understanding that we need to prepare our kids for the bad as much as the good, for the hard times as much as the easy times. Yep, here's a video for you. Keeps getting removed from YouTube, which is why people have kept putting up mirrors, but it still keeps getting taken down. So think carefully, think wisely. Um, that all of the studies of the masks prove that the oxygen intake is reduced to only about 5% of what it needs to be. It's insane. All of the studies. It's abuse. Wearing a mask is a form of abuse. Look at the history of slavery. Slaves wore masks. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Don't you get it yet? It's A, B, use. And this is not just one mask. You gotta understand. Understand where this is all coming from. It's all creeping up. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. It's never the end. It's almost always the beginning. But then at which point do you begin to realize the severity of the problem that we face? Here's the latest government regulation that government personnel have the power to direct or remove persons to a place for screening or assessment regarding the present non-crisis. If during the transmission control period you have reasonable grounds, this is reading point 3.1, if during the transmission period you have reasonable grounds to suspect that a person is potentially infectious, you may direct the person to go immediately. You may, I missed that word as well when I read it. You may. That's a modal of, what are the modals? There are modals of permission, obligation, advice, right? So what's that? Ability. Could be ability. Could be permission. It's not force. It's definitely not force. It's definitely not law. You may direct the person to go immediately to a place which is suitable. It's not must or have to. A clear law would be must. I mean, therefore, this is under. Any lawyer will argue that this is variable depending upon the situation. You may remove the person to a place. You may. It doesn't say you have to. It doesn't say you must. You may request a constable to remove the person to a place. You may. It doesn't say you must. It doesn't say you have to. This is crazy law. Crazy. There's law and then there's crazy law. This is crazy law. This is crazy law. You may only exercise these powers if you consider it necessary. It's all about what you think, which is probably based upon what you feel, which is probably not a good way to run any kind of system. It's probably not. But then this is what we're facing, isn't it? We're facing the rewriting of logic, the rewriting of understanding potentially infectious persons. Everyone's a potentially infectious person, so it just means everybody. It's just playing a game. Somebody had to say it, and they did. Levana Loma 1 on that Twitter writes, if there really was a deadly pandemic, we wouldn't need to be rushing to test everybody to prove it exists. People would actually be sick, hospitals would be full, and people you actually know would be dead. None, or I would add little, of that exists in reality. But instead, only on your television, just like those distant wars, just like those distant starvations, those distant problems. Do you know why? Why weren't the flu statistics in every country pumped out in the years previously? Because that would have been insane. And guess what? It's still insane today. Still, nothing has changed. But then it's a game. It's a word game. MedicalExpress.com reports UK to start huge vaccination test. China reports promising results. The language, listen to the language of the report. Last month, Oxford University, rewind. Last month, Oxford University researchers began vaccinating more than 1,000 volunteers in a preliminary study designed to test the shot's safety. Testing the safety of people before they do it anywhere else. Isn't this a war crime? Aren't we at war? This is a war. The war previously was government against government. Now the war is government against their own people. I mean, if that's not clear to you, then you need to go and do a bit more research. Those results aren't in yet, hurrah! But the Oxford team announced they're expanding it. They don't have the results, but they're expanding it. Yay! To 10,260 people across Britain, including older people and children. If all goes smoothly, it's possible as early as autumn or towards the end of the year you could have the results that allowed the use of a vaccine on a wider scale. They're just going to go to the next level without finishing the previous level, aren't they? You know, it's like one of those computer games where you cheat and you enter at a level higher than you should and you get annihilated, right? That's what's going to happen. Did you know that Oxford have a vaccine group, the Oxford Vaccine Group? It's headed by Andrew Pollard, who's obviously a psychopath, right? Pollard acknowledged there were still many challenges ahead, including how long it would take to prove the vaccine actually works, particularly since transmission has dropped significantly in Britain and any potential manufacturing complications, yada yada yada. Transmission has dropped significantly. And yet the government were going around saying we need to get more people sick, so insanity. The Oxford shot is one of about a dozen experimental COVID-19 vaccines in early stages of human testing or poised to start. Mostly in China, the US and Europe. Scientists have never created vaccines from scratch this fast. Danger, Will Robinson. And it's far from clear that any will ultimately prove safe and effective. Danger, Will Robinson. Moving on to such a huge late-scale test doesn't guarantee Oxford will reach the finish line either. Pollard couldn't provide any data from the first tests, but said an oversight board hasn't seen any indications of worrying side effects even though they don't have any data. It's a crime. 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 You want examples of why it's a crime? Well, the Times.co.uk reported that, remember this, 60 people are going to receive a multi-million-pound payout from the government after they suffered brain damage caused by a swine flu vaccine. This is not including the people who were killed as well. Most of the victims are children. Yeah. So experimentation on populations is now what governments are best at. It's what they're funding. It's what they're looking forward to. It's how they make their money. It's how they ruin everything. Cool, huh? 60 people are to receive a multi-million-pound payout from the government after they suffered brain damage caused by the swine flu vaccine. Yes, that one didn't work either. Most of the victims are children, but they also include 6 health workers. Well done, everybody. Peter Todd, a lawyer representing many sufferers, lawyers are going to make big money out of this as well, and the government is just going to use more taxpayers' money to pay for the failures of everything, which is why government shouldn't have that power. Peter Todd, a lawyer representing many sufferers, said the government would face a bill of at least £60 million, £1 million for each victim, because, brain damaging your child is okay if they give you £1 million. There has never been a case like this before, he said. I think you need to look back through history at the cases of what happened with other vaccines and read about the vaccine damage funds. The victims of this vaccine have an incurable and lifelong condition that will require extensive medication. Yeah, more money for the medical establishment, right? 6 million British people, mostly children, received the vaccine following the swine flu scare in 2009. It was later revealed the vaccine can cause severe epilepsy-type symptoms called narcolepsy and cataplexy in estimated 1 of every 16,000 recipients. You want to put this on a scale? Imagine 1 in every 16,000 of your favorite chocolate bar caused that permanently. The chocolate bar would be banned, right? There you go. This is a mind game. It's a head fuck. That's what it is. But the world wasn't always like that, right? Wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as it is. What a hard realization, right? There was a time when we appreciated real art and real beauty, and everything wasn't just post-modernist garbage. There was a time. There was a time when governments feared people and listened to them. That time is distant, past, gone, for sure, for now. And we're at war. Governments have started war on the people. Now the people, we've got to understand as well, 95% of people are going to do nothing. They're going to go with the flow. It's always the way. It's only an active around 5% of people that ever change anything. Look at the revolutions of history. They're actually very small groups of people in comparison to large changes that occurred. Didn't Tony Blair take the British people to war after 1 million people protested? Nothing happened. So let's be clear now that the boomerang comes back. It all comes back around. Don't go messing with karma. Didn't anybody tell you? Right? Let's be clear. It's a war. It's the state against the people and the people versus the state. It's the war to end all wars, because if the state wins, there'll be no people left. Except the docile followers. And if the people win, then what? To build a new future, to build a new system. But you don't want to ignore the history that works, that functions. It's hard. Meanwhile, Australia have become the first company to right? Well, there we go. There's a slip of tongue. It does states function like companies very much. That's why they have presidents. Truth. Australia has become the first country to basically imprison innocent people knowingly. Melbourne, Australia is going back into hard lockdown. And this is how it works. They, a little bit and they take it back, and a little bit more and they take it back, and a little bit more and they take it back, and they just boil the frogs, right? 9 tower blocks locked down with 500 armed police outside and on every floor. Forced testing. People unable to leave their homes. No, it's not a dystopic scientific novel. It's our world. Australian population 25,506,600. Alleged COVID deaths 106, which is 0.0005% of the population. It's not about your health. Get it through your head. It's not about your health. If you're going to give yourself a mantra, make it that one. It's not about your health. It's about the destruction of society. It's about the destruction of community. It's about the destruction of businesses. It's about the destruction of Christianity. It's about the destruction of churches. It's about the invasion of the West with populations that don't have Western values. That's what it is. That's what the immigration is. England is no longer England is no longer England. Yes. And you drop into the cities and you see how multicultural they are. And I lived in a British multicultural city for 5 years. And I can tell you, you walk down the wrong streets, you get shafted, right? It's very, very easy. You walk down the wrong streets in the big cities, you get knifed, you can get knifed, you can get shot, you can get beaten up, you can get chased. Um, Good reason to be healthy and to have all your faculties functioning, right? You go out for a few beers with friends, right? And you just be like, oh, I'll just go home this way. No, 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 no. I was in South London for a while, and you would hear the gunshots at night, and that was just South London. And that was the I think that was the African gangs fighting with each other. I mean, I wasn't in the middle of it. I just listened to what the locals would tell me. They're talking about local things. Here's the most recent post from the local pub, just down the coast there, which is another piece of mindless insanity because all the rules and laws contradict each other. You can get on a plane with 300 other people, but you can't have your neighbor visit your flat because that's a crime. You can wear a mask to go into a restaurant, but once you get into the restaurant, you have to take the mask off. I mean, that's just. I mean, if you were going to write a dystopic novel, you would include all of these things, and nobody would believe it. But we're living it. We're living it. Hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe. Your new normal will be the destruction of your world right before your eyes. And you will applaud. No doctor services. Yay, well done everybody, because your brain just can't comprehend the fact that you've been tricked. No health services in general. Yay! Breakdown of supply chains. Yay! Massive knock-on domino effect, third world death. Yay! Well done everybody. Local pubs. Here's a real post. They're all real, but this is like, it's like this is just the local pub. There will be no bar stools and people will not be allowed to stand at the bar because that's obviously very dangerous. You will have to come in, take a seat, and will only be allowed to come in if a table is available, so you have to stand outside. Orders and payment will be by card only because cash is dirty. It will be made from your table. Don't stand up, don't move anywhere. There will be no jute bugs. There will be no music nights and no music sessions. This will not be permitted. Toilet facilities will be one person in, one person out because there's a danger if two people are in the same space, but you can still sit at the same table. Hand sanitizers will be available. There's a lot of evidence to suggest all this continuous hand washing is actually unclean because you're using chemicals on your hands. You don't even know what the bloody chemicals are, right? And your hands need to get dirty in order to build up their resistance, don't they? So that's also not sane. I think Vernon Coleman has got a post on that everybody should check out. Check out his work. He's the last leading voice of sanity in an insane country. I've got some of his stuff on my desktop. I did actually want to repost it. I wanted to sort of collect it together and repost it, but he went into overdrive and started producing videos every day, which is great because people need the information. But it just meant I couldn't keep up with things. So there we go. Got to do other stuff like take the kids to the beach, etc., etc. Obviously, the situation is constantly changing, so we will update our Facebook page closer to the opening date if any of these restrictions change. Yes, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, it's the model of the new world of the abnormal, of the abnormal. Meanwhile, the social elites will sit in their castles and ponder their futures. If they ponder at all, they'll get ready for the next set of orders. Bumped into a friend the other day who he had a packet of those face masks. I meant to get one actually because and you read the instructions. I mean, people don't know where these masks are made, if they come from a safe place or not. They don't know who's touched them previously. I mean, it's just as unsafe to put on a mask that you don't know anything about really. It's just as unsafe. And he was saying how his friends who are lawyers, not supposed to be talking to people, because then you'd actually learn this, that his friends who are lawyers were saying that everything is extrajudicially being done. It's being done outside of the courts. It's being done outside of the legal systems. It's all being broken down right in front of your eyes. Right in front of your eyes. Yeah, it's happening. You can't believe your eyes because you've been told not to believe. You've learned not to believe anything at all because everything is TV, right? Everything is TV. And then the people who do the research, well, they just get their links banned, they get their websites banned, they get everything banned. It's a cult because a cult is in control. They're rewriting culture. A company that was awarded a federal contract to produce Wuhan virus test kits has closed amid a flurry of complaints about contamination of those kits. This is one of the banned articles. Founded in Florida, because they obviously don't want people to know this, founded in Florida on May the 1st of this year, Filikit was... It's not funny. Filikit was awarded a contract to produce liquid-filled plastic vials for COVID-19 test kits by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. A week later, on May the 7th, that's when they got the order, on June 26th, less than 2 months after receiving the contract, the company notified the Florida Secretary of State that it had dissolved. Prior to its closure, Filikit was under scrutiny for issues with conditions in the facilities where its test kits were produced. Several former Filikit employees had come forth complaining about the unsanitary conditions of the company's production facility. The employees coming forth, that's how bad it was. According to the former employees, workers at Filikit's facility sat side by side filling the vials by hand while cooling fans blew dust around them. The dust would often get inside the test tubes, contaminating them. And this is also happening to stuff like your vaccines. No joke. The environment is not clean at all and certainly not sterile, stated Teresa Bosworth-Green, a retired science educator who worked at the company for about 2 weeks. Bosworth-Green said that she saw vials containing dust and even insects being packaged for shipment. Even insects. just yeah, you don't know, right? The stuff that you know, what you don't know will kill you. That people perish for lack of knowledge. Yeah, like the other day, like I was driving through the town and I saw these people with big black masks on there. Two women with big black masks on, with ice creams in their hands. Uh, uh, I'm pretty sure they didn't think that one through. But then the propaganda is everywhere, right? It's all part of the new pathologized state totalitarianism that's everywhere. We live in a pathological state. We live in a pathological way. Um, it's not logical. It's pathological. It's insanely controlled by insane people. I didn't take out text from this next article, so it's pointing out that consentfactory.org is pointing out the the brave new world that we live in. Mobs of hysterical people hunting down those who don't wear masks, screaming and shouting at them, throwing them out of shops. No mask, no service. Um, it makes me think about the biblical principle of the mark of the beast and the right to buy and sell. That when you stop commerce and when you limit trade, you're really limiting life. And it seems to me very similar to the mark of the beast, that people will not get served in shops if they don't wear something that hasn't been proved. It's an attack on the rationale structure of the human brain. Um, it's it's a narrative. We've been giving a narrative that is not helping. It's not healthy. It's harmful. And they're telling us. They're telling us what's coming. They're telling us what's going to change. Churches closed, synagogues closed, parks closed, beaches closed, restaurants closed, cafes closed, theaters closed, clubs closed, anywhere that people gather. How long before everyone's tagged with a bracelet? How long before the kids are removed from their families? Well, not long now. One step further down the path, thanks to all those practitioners, all those people involved in Event 201. Numbers games. Numbers games. How do you get away? How do you escape? How do you escape when it's everywhere? You've got to find your own place, your own space, your own peace. Did you know that just 16 billion a year in aid would send all children to school in low-income countries? Think about the fact that 8 billion was raised in 24 hours at the Gavi vaccine summit, right? Or just raised, stolen from taxpayers. 16 billion a year would send all children in the world to school. This is half of the amount Europeans and Americans spend on ice cream annually. Right. Crazy, huh? Crazy. Ice cream. And it just melts away. Especially on a hot day. Got to eat it quickly. Through the mask, of course. Of course, it's a personal choice, right? Everything is a personal choice. People will make you believe that you have to do things because of others. That's just wrong. Just wrong. Time to go back. Do yourself a service. Read the Bible. Understand that you will never have regrets if you choose peace over war and love over hate. Simple choices, yet prominent in their importance. Prominent in their importance. RussiaToday.com reports social distancing isn't enough. Spain's Catalonia to make wearing of masks obligatory amid COVID-19 resurges. And of course they're not counting the deaths anymore, they're counting the cases. And the more people you test, the more cases you find, because according to the CDC website, if you've had a common flu at any point in time, you will test positive for a form of coronavirus, and they haven't isolated this coronavirus 19. There's not a test that isolates it, so they can't test you for it, so it's all fraud. It's all fraud. It's all fraud. And it's all fraud. And it was fraud 5 minutes ago, and it's fraud right now, and it'll be fraud tomorrow. But don't worry, because dystopia is right around the corner. Authorities in Catalonia, Spain are set to announce the obligatory wearing of masks in public, following a resurgence of coronavirus in the region, because the people are the virus. Resurgence of the virus precipitated a secondary lockdown of some 200,000 people. Hurrah! Lockdown, eh? The proposal is expected to be confirmed on Wednesday afternoon and will take effect on Thursday. President of Catalonia's regional government said, "At present, the wearing of masks is mandatory only in circumstances where people cannot remain 1.5 meter distance from another," because 1.5 is scientific, right? Once the new mandatory mask order is announced, and of course, as I pointed out previously, studies on previous epidemics proved that isolating people didn't help. It's not social distancing, it's social isolation. Catalonia will become Spain's first region to impose such stringent measures. "We want to make wearing masks obligatory at all times," said the local regional government fascist dictator there. Would be, of course. How do you cope? It's not easy. It's not easy. A lot of people escaping into their own minds. Finding a way. Escaping into books. Escaping into games. A lot of people killing themselves as well. Suicide rates through the roof. More suicides in 1 month in most Western countries than they have all year. And more leads to more, right? Just as less leads to less. Here's a study led by D.A. Henderson, the man who eradicated smallpox. The man who eradicated smallpox found that draconian lockdowns for flu pandemics are ineffective and destructive. An article published by Jim Hoft, May 17th, 2020. Go and read it for yourself and discover things like even the boxes for the masks say the masks don't work. So here's a picture of a box. This product is an ear loop mask. This product is not a respirator and will not provide any protection against COVID-19, coronaviruses or other viruses or contaminants. Boom. There you go. Save that to your phone. Show that to everybody. As I pointed out, it would be funny if it wasn't serious. Restaurants in Maryland, USA, CBS reports, intend to use bumper tables to keep customers 6 feet apart. Bumper tables. They're like giant tables with huge bumpers around them on wheels. Doesn't anybody realize that's absurd? Doesn't anybody realize that's absurd? But then you'll never hear about the protests, the real protests. You'll never hear about the real push back. APnews.com reports Serbs storm parliament after virus lockdown is announced. Serbia. Yep. More balls than your local bowling club, right? Not everyone is asleep. Not everyone is sheep. Thousands of protesters fought running battles with police and tried to storm the parliament building in Belgrade on Tuesday after the Serbian president announced that a coronavirus lockdown will be reintroduced in the Balkan country. police fired several rounds of tear gas at the protesters, some chanting, "Resignation, resignation," as they gathered in front of the downtown Parliament building in the Serbian capital. Some of the protesters briefly managed to enter the Parliament by force but were pushed back by riot police. The protesters responded by hurling flares, stones, bottles and eggs at the police. Several clashes. It's crazy because the police are not the enemy. Interesting. Several clashes erupted between some of the extremist riders, apparently belonging to far-right groups. Right, because the bad people are on the right and the good people are on the left, according to the media. Because, keep it simple, yeah. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of things that people don't want you to know. Judicialwatch.org reported that they obtained records showing the FDA, the American Federal Drug Administration, paid for fresh and never frozen human fetal parts. That's what your abortuaries are for use in humanized tests and trials, I imagine. This is the evil that men do. It's right out in front of us. Judicial Watch announced today it received 165 pages of records from the Food and Drug Administration showing the Food and Drug Administration between 2012 and 2018 entered into 8 contracts worth $96,370 with Advanced Bioscience Resources to acquire fresh and never frozen tissue from first and second trimester aborted fetuses for use in creating humanized mice for ongoing research. Humanized mice, ladies and gentlemen, humanized mice. That's what all those clinics are for. ABR is a non-profit firm which has been the subject of criminal referrals from House and Senate committees investigating whether Planned Parenthood or any other entity was illegally profiting from the handling of fetal tissue from aborted babies. Federal law regulates the purchase and acceptance of human fetal tissue for research purposes. It is unlawful to knowingly transfer fetal tissue for profit. But they're non-profit organizations, so that's okay, right? Right? Right. Don't worry. They got it all covered. They got it all worked out. Don't worry, they'll tell you what you need to know. They'll tell you what you need to know. Don't worry about anything. Everything will be brought to your door eventually. You won't have to travel anywhere. And then you won't want to travel anywhere because you will have been conditioned. The World Health Organization reported in their rapid review on face masks for the general population on the 7th of April 2020, one study found that face masks contribute to an increased sense of isolation, while another found higher rates of respiratory infection among some participants who wore a face mask, which may hint at a link between face mask use and risk-taking behaviors. Risk-taking behaviors? What, like not wearing a face mask? Yeah. Neither of these findings is supported by substantial or robust evidence, but both might merit further research in order to inform a full appraisal of the costs versus benefits of face mask use in community settings. So it's mandated, something they haven't studied. Hurrah. Advice regarding face masks from Sweden, I believe this is. Not too good with the flags, but I think this is Sweden. Face masks are not needed in everyday life. The best way to protect oneself and others is to keep a safe distance and maintain good hand hygiene. If that's Sweden, this must be Norway. When should you use a cloth face mask in addition to other preventative measures? The government will not issue a general recommendation on the use of face masks. There is no evidence that the extensive use of masks by healthy people will reduce infections. Thank you very much. Next, recommendations from which country is that? They all got the similar flags. Is that Denmark? Could be Denmark. Recommendation from NIPH based on current epidemiological situation. The Norwegian, oh, that's the Norwegian one. Okay, the Norwegian Institute of Public Health considers that there is no scientific basis for recommending the general use of face masks in the population. Is that clear? Clear enough for you, or would you like? Oh, here's the Danish one. Right. Danish Health Authority does not encourage healthy individuals who go about their daily business to wear mouth or face masks, as it is uncertain they have any effect on virus or transmission. Furthermore, mouth and face masks can cause more harm than good. Mouth and face masks can cause more harm than good. There we go. Have you got it yet? Is it sinking in? Has it sunk? Estimation of individual probabilities of COVID-19 infection according to medrxiv.org. Among US counties with populations greater than 500,000 people, half a million, during the week ending June the 13th, 2020, the median estimate of the county level probability of a confirmed infection is an infection, could be asymptomatic of course, is 1 per 40,500 persons. Now when you've got like 1 in 5 children having this disease, 1 in 12 children having that disease, probably developmental related or the side effects of other drugs or the side effects of miseducation or the side effects of vaccines, right? But that's not a pandemic, right? Cancer's not a pandemic, even though you get clusters, right? 1 infection in 40,500 persons. That's crazy. For a 50 to 64-year-old individual, the median estimate of the county level of probability of a hospitalization is 1 in 709,000 persons. And the median estimate of the, and that can be at times 1 in 10 million. Okay, goes up to 10 million. And the median estimate of the county level probability of a fatality is 1 in 6,670,000, which rises in some cases to 1 in 97 million. 1 in 97 million chance of a fatality. Stunning. Conclusions and relevance estimates of individual probabilities of COVID-19 infection, hospitalization and death vary widely, but may not and do not align with public risk perceptions. Yep. Yep. As they say, yep. What can we conclude from this? God knows. Governments have gone insane. They're mandating policies that will only make their people ill and sick. It's a war on sanity, on reality. The media are involved. They have no respect for their audience. They're literally engaging in hurtful dumbing down. The journalists are probably doing no reading, no thinking, no studying. We are all susceptible to the propaganda because the brain does not have a firewall. Just the facts, ladies and gentlemen. Just the facts. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing today, I wish you a fantastic day. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy. Look after the people around about you. And as always, don't forget to tell the ones you love that you love them. Spread the good news. Share if you care. I'll speak to you soon. Any questions, you can reach me through all the regular channels. Have a good one.